8 or 9 years ago. I've got 3 kids and my awesome wife. We live out in Howell. I do training and development. It's been awesome. It's been an awesome journey. We travel the country. We won some awards. It's been fun. If you want to ask about that, awesome. If not, let's just get to the good stuff because that's what we're really here for. Sounds good? Say yes?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Look at that. Participation. We've always got 3 kinds of participators in the room, right? Those people who are like, yes, good morning. And then those people who are like, I'm not participating, right? Middle finger on the face.
That's what the coffee's for.
What's that?
That's what the coffee's for.
That's what the coffee's for. How many of you have a middle finger on the face team member? Okay? They're not in the room. You don't have to raise your hand. And then we got people who just kind of like, yeah, let's kind of go with the vibe. So we're going to come back to that in a minute, but I want to talk, I got like 10, 15 minutes. So my goal is a couple of things. I was asked by Jenny and Alex to come and present, and I was just like, you know what? Like, 'cause a lot of you are entrepreneurs, a lot of you run your own business, a lot of you know the books, you know the trainings, you know the speakers, you know the seminars, you know the TED Talks, you know the networking. And I was like, what? Like, what do I reiterate that's gonna add some value to this morning? So I kind of sat down, I came up with a couple thoughts. So here's my goal of the next like 10 to 15 minutes. And then afterwards, if you want to ask questions, you want to talk, you want to network, whatever we can. But here are my goals. One, please turn to someone and point at them and say, you're not nuts.
You're not nuts.
Turn to one more, turn to another person and say, and I'm not nuts.
And I'm not nuts.
The first thing, and this has been on my mind a lot lately, is we're not nuts. So that's been the first thing. It's been on my mind a lot lately, so I want to talk about it. The second thing is we're going to talk about energy. Energy is everything. This is kind of a phrase that I use. It's something that I think about often. So I want to introduce it to you and talk about it with regards to how you're not nuts. And then the third thing I want to talk about is tolerating. What you're willing to tolerate, not tolerate, and the pain that comes with that. Those are my 3 goals today. I hope we bring some value. I hope we have some fun. So let's start with, again, turn to someone and say, you're not nuts.
You're not nuts.
What do I mean by that? Here, have you? So if you're maybe like, okay, as a business owner or as a parent or as a leader in any capacity whatsoever, have you ever had a moment where like you go to your team and define your team however you want, whether it's your family, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's a group of friends, maybe it's the people that work for you or with you, whatever it might be. You go to your team and you say, you know what, damn it, we have to do things better. Like, this has to change. I really think that we could improve this a little bit. Service, this, performance, standards. I think we can do this better. And I genuinely think it's a very simple, small change. I really think that when we look at the whole kind of picture of this one problem, whatever it might be that you're presenting, I think it's an easy solution. Have you ever had that kind of a moment? Okay. So you share this. And you're a solution-oriented person, so then you also say, you know what, I think this is the solution. I think this small little answer, I'm not gonna bring a problem without a solution. Here's the problem, here's what I think is the fix, here's what I think we can do. And your team looks at you like you are freaking nuts. They look at you like what you are saying to them is completely from outer space. And you can tell that you are about to have the conversation. And you know what the conversation is. What do you guys think? Well, we've tried that before. Well, here's why we can't. Well, here's this. And there's this multitude, a fountain of freaking problems that are thrown up on you. And you are ready, right? Because you know you've had these conversations before. So you're like, solution to that problem, solution to that. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? And you are just like fighting the fight. Can you relate to that? Okay. Turn to someone and say, you're not nuts. but then, as this like conversation progresses, degresses, like the problems start coming into like personal things that you know you can't speak about, right? Like, well, you don't know how much time I don't have. Well, there's this. Well, my kid's this. Well, I don't think you understand what you asked me to do. Like, you haven't been in the field in a long time. You don't understand the problems and the kinds of clients that we're dealing with. You never had to. You've been in your office so long. You've been removed. And you start to sit there and be like, wow, I must not know. I must be freaking nuts, right? Because Easy solution. Here's a problem. Easy solution. That easy solution will take our organization from good to great. I think that we can do this. I can't be the one that does it. I need to put my team in charge of following through, implementing this new process. I'm gonna present it, and instead of the group being like, yeah, this is a priority, let's make this work. It's list of problems that you obviously didn't think about because you're freaking nuts. And you walk away and you say to yourself, well, crap. Man, I just really didn't understand my team, the circumstances, the environment, blah, 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 blah. And you go back to your office and you say, gosh, we gotta find something, and it can't be this solution that I presented. And then you start thinking about it all again, starting the whole process over. 90% of the time you're looking for a solution, it goes back to the same damn thing you just presented, but you know you can't present it because your team just threw up on you why it's not possible. And you sit there and think, I must be nuts. But then you come to an organization like this, you come to a networking group, you rub elbows with people that are your mentors and your friends and your colleagues who are in business for themselves, whatever it might be, and they start talking about what they're doing, what they're thinking about, and it's the same stuff that you think about. It's the same opportunities and solutions and growth and all this kind of stuff, and you are like, I'm not nuts! I am not nuts! And it's awesome! And that's why I think we come to things like this. Yes, it's for the referrals. Yes, because it's great to network and get ideas. But at the end of the day, it's wonderful to be around other people where you can walk away and say, I'm not nuts. Like, there are solutions. Growth is important. Value that we provide is important. There's a heart, there's a passion, there's an energy that is different. It's rare, it's unique, but it's not so different that I am nuts. And your commitment to growth is fired up. And then you sit in a room like this, and we start talking about peers, we start talking about solutions, we start talking about problems in our organizations, and we got a whole room of people who just want to say, you're not nuts, your team's nuts. And you're like, they are. They're freaking nuts. Now, the problem with that, though, like genuinely, the problem with that, though, is how many of you are aware that that's a double-edged sword? Of meaning, if you set a new standard, if you set a new expectation, if you say, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z to make this better, you've got a team of people who are gonna walk away, they're gonna sit around like a water cooler, and they're gonna be like, did you hear that guy? Oh yeah, he's nuts. He's nuts. We're not gonna do that. I'm not doing that. I'm not freaking following through with that. I'm not gonna do that. And then that's the end of the conversation. So, the first thing I really wanna emphasize is you're not nuts. And I know that sounds like something kind of like base, but like genuinely speaking, I think the more I'm around organizations, the more I'm in organizations, it is very hard to continuously fight the good fight of solutions and moving an organization forward when we're surrounded by individuals that will fight tooth and nail to stay comfortable and fight tooth and nail to say, well, here are the reasons why what you're saying is not possible. So we go to this stuff to say, you know what, it is possible, kick in the butt, get back out there, tell people how they're not nuts, and go grow your business. Awesome! You're not nuts. Please turn to someone one more time and say, you're not nuts.
You're not nuts.
Man, just
So let's talk about that. If we're not nuts, and we're thinking about this kind of circumstance and situation, and we go back to our team, and we want our team to start thinking like how we think. We want our team to start operating the way that we operate. Just really quick, I want to open the floor. Let's do this. This is even better. Turn to the person right next to you. And I just want you to list out. You don't have to write anything down, but just get the wheels to start spinning. What are the ideal things that you want in a team member? So if you had a team member where in that meeting, where you are sitting there thinking, I must be nuts, what kind of a person would you want in that audience? Where you could look at their, like, have you ever had a presentation or a meeting before where you've always got that one person in the room while you scan the room, you got one person who's just like, you ever had that? It's a wonderful feeling. Thank you, friend. Yeah. Turn to the person right next to you, and I want you to list off a couple of characteristics that you want in a good team member, in an ideal team member. What are things that you want in an ideal team member? So turn and talk about it. We'll go from there.
I don't have team members.
Hard work, focus, attention to detail,
I know what I want.
be able to follow directions,
Adaptability.
shows punctual, very punctual.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yes. You gotta be punctual. They have to have attention to detail. And they gotta be able to follow directions, really.
Positive.
I think that's,
Following directions is the hardest
I
part.
think that's a reasonable ask.
Yeah.
It's not too much.
But sometimes, you know, people get stuck in their ways.
So, kind of
Yes.
condensing what he's saying.
All right.
It's hard to find
We're
words
done. I
that
just
have
wanted to get our
multiple
wheels to start
meanings.
spinning.
Yeah.
My hope is that we don't exhaust the conversation. Now that we got our wheels spinning towards us, let's get a couple of shares. Let's come up with a list. What are things that you want in the ideal team member? The ideal team member. Let's go ahead and talk.
Good vibes.
Good vibes.
Adaptable.
Okay. Adaptable.
I'm lucky.
Keep 'em
because
coming,
I
please.
don't have any employees.
Committed. Okay, cool.
Definitely
Go the
not
extra
always
mile.
Extra
Yeah.
mile.
Yeah, forward thinking.
Forward thinking.
Enthusiastic.
Three.
Yeah, it's all right, we got him
And
in
you
first.
said
Yeah.
it with enthusiasm. Awesome. Enthusiastic. All right, what else?
Attitude of gratitude.
Okay, gratitude. A gratitude attitude. Coachable. Oh my God. How many of you love a coachable person? Oh. How many of you work with an I know that person, right? Like, so is true in life. You know, why is coachability so important? Because we follow the laws of nature. When a tree stops growing, what does a tree start doing? I know no other way. And the same is true as with us as individuals. Health that stops improving starts dying, right? Financial prowess that kind of like starts to rot or go away, decay, our financial situation goes to less, right? A business that stops growing starts becoming irrelevant. A relationship that stops growing becomes, so coachability, the replacement of I know that, the replacement of stagnancy. I love that. What else? I shouldn't have talked so much. I just killed the vibe. What do you want? Let's get like 5 or 6 more. Things that ideal team member, great team member.
Integrity.
Okay, so communicator, integrity, doing what you say you're gonna do,
Just
Being
kind.
trusted.
kind,
Inquisitive.
What's that?
Somebody
Oh,
you
yeah.
can trust, right?
I mean, inquisitive to an extent, right? Like, you want to ask
Right.
questions. What else?
Service and experience, right?
Service and experience. Well, last one.
He just put experience. That's good. That's good.
One last. one.
Funny.
Funny. And if you're not, don't come in the door. How about, you know, with funny, you don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
You're open, you can laugh a little bit, we can celebrate our mistakes, we can celebrate our failures. Awesome. So here's the thing that we want in ideal team members. And I'm confident that we can keep going, right? And I think there's a lot of people who might be thinking that right now, like, yeah, this is awesome. I would love this in all of my team members. It's not out there. Ryan, you're nuts. No, I'm not. I'm not nuts. We have established this. No one in here is nuts. Here's things that we want in
I
ideal
think that's
team
what
members.
wives want our husbands to be.
What's that? If you need to take this as a reminder for your bathroom mirror, it's fine. Take a snapshot. Ugh, wallpaper. There it is. All right. So here's things that we want an ideal team member. Okay, and again, we could probably keep going with this stuff. We could add some. We could take away. We could debate. Whatever. I believe there are 2 things that show up in any team member and in any role that we'll ever have, whether it is being a husband, whether it's being a father, whether it's being a service provider, whether it's running a business, being a manager, whatever. In any role you'll ever have in your life, there are 2 things that go into that role. And those 2 things, very simply, are attitude and skill. It's those 2 things that make up the performance of anything, the end result, right? If you think about healthcare, right? If you think about healthcare, if you think about a doctor, right? How many of you want a doctor working on you and you want that doctor to know what they're doing? Okay, absolutely, fantastic. You want them to be experienced, you want them to have knowledge, you want them to be, you want them to have years of experience and know the ins and outs of your condition and circumstances and what medication will do what and what physical therapy will do what. Like, you want that doctor to know what they're doing, to be an expert in their field. Would you agree with me, please say yes?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Now, how many of you want that doctor that is working with you in any given circumstance to not just be an expert at what they're doing, but also have some level of bedside manner, to have some level of conversation, some level of making you feel like a rock star, some level of hope, some level of we can get through this, some level of, you know what, you and I working together, we're gonna get through this, whatever it might be. If something goes catastrophically wrong, that individual has the wherewithal to get you and your family through it. So a doctor, the greatest doctors in the world, you don't want him just to be the smartest person in the room. You want him to be the smartest person in the room with some level of kindness, compassion, empathy, understanding, commitment to who you are as a person. Are you with me on that?
Yes.
If you think about a restaurant, right? When you walk into a restaurant, you don't want a server just to bring you the food. You don't want them just to have knowledge of the menu. You don't want them just to be able to turn the table over and get the bill paid. You want a server that's going to make that experience worth your time and effort. Are you with me on that?
Yes.
They show up. They're patient. They're kind. They're understanding. They coach you through the menu. They're honest with you. How many of you have ever had a server where you're like, what would you recommend? I'm thinking about this. And they're like, yeah, it's pretty good. And you know when they say that, you're like, you're lying to me. You want a server that's honest. You feel that energy from them. They make that experience go above and beyond. They don't overstay their welcome. So even a server, right? Skill, get you the food, knowledge of the menu, know what they're doing, organized, detail-oriented, and the attitude, making that experience feel outstanding. Think back in your entire life. How many of you have ever been an athlete? How many of you know what an athlete is? If you think about athletes, or if you were ever an athlete, if you think about coaches you've worked with, if you've ever been in a classroom, you think about teachers you've had, you think about mentors, friends, people in your life who have had a profound experience on you. These are individuals have never just come to you having the biggest resume or the most letters behind their names. They're individuals that, yes, they've got experience. Yes, they've got wherewithal. Yes, they've got guidance where they can nudge you in correct directions and hopefully help you miss mistakes that they've had to suffer through themselves. But these individuals that have impacted your lives have shown up to be beyond just the title. The coaches in your life that have made the most difference to you were more than just someone who knew the game. The teachers in your life who have made the most difference to you are more than just people who knew the curriculum. The mentors, leaders, and managers that you've worked for in your life are more than just people with the longest CV. They're individuals that when they walk in the room, it's like, good God, they're a breath of fresh air. And they make me feel like I'm not nuts. and it's awesome. They bring an attitude. Why is this important? Because you've got a list of things you want in an ideal team member. If we right now had to categorize these as attitude or skill, oriented type things, as we go down this list, I'm going to kind of categorize them to what I think they would be, attitude or skill. We can disagree, we can debate it afterwards, but for right now, this is what I would do. Having a good vibe, attitude, okay? Adaptable, attitude. Gratitude, attitude. Coachable, attitude. Communicative.
Skill. Skill.
Okay, but yeah, that's skill. Integrity, attitude, experience, skill. Okay? Committed, attitude. They go the extra mile, attitude. Say this with me. They're forward thinking, attitude. They're enthusiastic,
Attitude.
They're kind,
Attitude.
Who said that? Was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah. They ask good questions. They're inquisitive. They invest themselves in the conversation. They're funny. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Out of 14 things that we have said we want an ideal team member, 2 out of 14 things are skill oriented. 12 out of 14 things are attitude oriented. I bring this all up because, one, I'm not here to say that skill isn't important. If I'm going to a doctor and a doctor's working on me, you sure as hell better believe I want that doctor to know what they're doing. Okay? If I go to a restaurant and it's like an Italian restaurant, and if I say like, I'm thinking about I'm in the mood for Mexican tonight, I would want my server to be able to appropriately say, you know what, we don't have that on the menu, as opposed to, let me check with the kitchen, right? Okay. If Alex's team comes out and works with my family to change out our air conditioner because we need a new one, right? Referral, bam, what's the time? Okay, if I want to be able to feel like the commitment to service, the attention to detail, the trust is there, right? You think about a mechanic. How many of you want a mechanic that knows what they're doing? How many of you want a mechanic that knows what they're doing, but at the end of the day, you trust the person? Okay? So you want this level of vibe, this energy, this whatever it might be. They're both important. I'm not here to say one is more important than the other. I'm here to say that when they're balanced in any experience you ever have in your life, that more often than not has an outstanding result for you. If you have a team of people that when you say we need to move the needle, we need to make X, Y, and Z better, if they are the skilled individuals that are capable, that you hired on because you said, damn it, I know you're capable of getting this job done, awesome. But if their energy sucks, if their energy tanks it, if their energy says, well, I already work too much, if their energy says, well, you don't understand my problems, if their energy, all of that kind of stuff, then what's that? Yeah, we don't get it done. Next, moving on. Thank you, friend. Devin showing up. So what's the point of what I'm trying to say? A lot of you are coming to things like this. You read great books. You got great mentors. You do all of this stuff to grow yourself. Why? Because you at some level of yourself believe that this concept of attitude is important. When you show up to a space like this, you're surrounded by like-minded individuals who think like you, and then you hit your head against the wall and say, why don't other people on my team think like this? And my question for you is why, when you have a group of people on your team, are you spending 90 to 95% of your time, energy, investment resources training your team on more skills, more process, more procedure, more policy? Is that stuff important? Abso-freaking-lutely it's important. Absolutely it's important. But when you hire, and you're hiring based on the skills and not based on the values your organization determined were important values, when you orient and your orientation or onboarding process is 90 to 95%, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is X, Y, and Z, and 5 to 10% of the conversation is, oh, and by the way, we want you to be a decent human being, have good attitude, have good energy, you might start to understand why you're having the challenges that you're having. You folks come in here. So are you with me on this so far? So the first thing I want you to know is you're not nuts. The second thing I want you to know is that you kind of are. If you want the world's greatest attitude of people, but you're investing 90 to 95% of your training, your team huddles, workshops, your onboarding process, 90 to 95% of that is all dedicated to skill, then yeah, you're kind of nuts. If you expect people to start demonstrating and showing up at a different level, you have made it your important, invested priority to come to things like this. How many of you are currently reading some book on personal growth, business development, like genuinely, okay? How many of you could recommend one right now? Okay, fantastic. How many of you have watched some great YouTube special in the last 2 weeks, 5 minutes long? Oh, wow, that starts my day off the right way. And you do this because, again, it's fueling you in a great way. It's nudging you. It's planting the seeds of greatness, reminders of growth, reminders of you are better than this moment. Growth is hard. Take on growth. Take on problems. Like, you understand the profound benefit of having a good attitude, of a growth mindset, of solution focus, of good attitude, good energy. You get it. But then it is wrong of you, and you're kind of nuts if you turn to the world and expect them to do the same thing. So we got to do this. So 2 quick solutions, and then we can wrap this whole thing up, okay? So please, again, turn to someone, give them a high five, and say, let's move forward.
Let's do it.
I believe, first and foremost, so when I talk about attitude, I like to use the word energy. The word is energy. The word is what?
Energy.
Yeah, good energy. I like that. Okay, no one laughs at themselves. That's okay. That's good. That's good. I like to use the phrase, energy is everything. Energy is what? Everything. Meaning this, the energy you bring to a space matters, okay? Really quickly, think of someone in your life. Do you have that person who is good energy for you? Thinking about all of these things that we want in the ideal team member and beyond. Someone that helps us feel like we're not nuts. You've got that person in your life where when it is a, excuse my language, but shitstorm, right? Problems, difficulties, challenges, more upon, like you are overwhelmed. Has anyone ever felt overwhelmed, overburdened? How did I take on these problems? Why did I possibly start my own business? It'd be so much easier to not do this. Oh my gosh, who's with me? I could add a lot. Have you ever looked in the mirror? I could add a lot of value somewhere else. Okay. Jenny's with me. Okay. You've got those days where you are feeling overwhelmed with problems. How many of you have a person in your life where when they walk in the room, simply by who they are, you feel an instant sense of relief? Right? They walk in the room and you're just like, breath of fresh air. You walk in the room and you say, this is someone I can count on. They walk in the room and you're just like, oh my God, I needed to see you right now. So, do you have that person? Okay. Turn to the person next to you, say, and you're one of them. Okay?
Am I one of them? No.
Yeah. You understand the vibe of good energy. Now, do you have the opposite in your life?
Depends on the day.
How
That person
many of you have ever had that person? How many of you have that person in your life? How many of you have this person in your life right now? How many of you are like, you have this person on your team that when you are feeling on point, you got your days where you're like checking off your to-do list. You got your workout in. You read your great book. You had a great networking kickoff to the day. You get to the office, good attitude, like you are ready to go. How many of you have that person in your life where when they walk in, you go, oh shit. How many of you have that? Please turn to the person next to you and say, and you're not one of them. No. And if you have a tough time saying that, sit by someone else in future networking events. Why do I want to bring this up? Because you get, if I were to simplify all of this good attitude stuff in one word, energy. And how you bring energy is completely different than anyone else in here. It is completely unique and above and beyond all your own. It is the thing that makes you, your business, your team click. It's the thing that makes you feel like, wow, this is something different. Okay? It's something that cannot be replicated. Someone can replicate your app. Someone can replicate your business. Someone can replicate what you're building. Someone can replicate everything that you do in your life. That's the word for it. It is. But the thing that differentiates your business from your business from your business from anyone else is how that experience, that energy feeling, that something, that vibe, that is all your own and is important because it makes that experience better. Your energy is everything. It either gives or takes from the room. It gives or takes from this moment. It gives or takes from how you leave a meeting back at your office. It gives or takes from how you show up and the first person that you see at that front desk and how you treat them and greet them. You understand the value of that. We, in this room, group of business owners, who look at our team and we want them to help us move the needle. And we know that helping them move the needle is not necessarily because they have to be smarter. A lot of them are really smart. A lot of them are really skilled. A lot of them have the wherewithal to get the job done. The blockade is this attitude stuff. We come into a place like this, we talk about it, we're around good energy, we like this kind of stuff, we say, what is missing in my team? Well, when you're in a space like this, and this is my personal opinion, and I could be wrong, and we can fight about it, and that's okay. I've been to a lot of networking groups. And with a networking group, it's awesome, it's great vibes. Right, the first 10 minutes you're in here, people are chatting, shaking hands, people are waiting on the sides of conversations, just waiting for that moment to say, oh, good to see you again. It's great energy. You put your best foot forward. You create space to understand other people, their pain points, their problems, who they are, where they're from. You show up with an abundance of how can I help, how can I serve, how can I make your life better, solutions. Because, wow, it's networking. We want that referral. We want to be a value add to a professional colleague or peer of ours. We want to be someone that makes a difference. We want to become president, or whatever it might be. we want
Mission accomplished.
to create a space. We want to create a space where people can have shared ideas. We get up in the front of the room at the beginning of the thing and we say we really want to grow this thing because we want more like-minded individuals. We want them to come and feel our energy, feel our vibe, and really get some value from this. My question for everyone in here is if you want this attitude stuff from the people at your team, are you doing the same job with them? Are you doing the same investment with them? Are you doing the same sit down, let's grab coffee, I want to talk about your pain, I want to talk about what's going on in your world, I want to hear what you think you can bring to the team, I want to hear who you are, where you're going, your vision for yourself, I want to hear why you're here and part of this organization, how I can help you grow, what are you working towards, because I certainly know that this isn't your end all be all, but I want to certainly make sure that this is an awesome step, so you can look back on it and say, damn it, because of Alex, my life is different, better, because of that experience working with him.
Yes.
Yeah! Get up for Alex! Go for it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, it's easy for someone who's high energy naturally, like you or me or other extroverts, but realistically introverts, people who are, that melancholy-ish personality, how do they honor this idea in a way that is authentic to them?
Awesome. We can talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that in and of itself is the incorrect focus.
Okay.
Because nobody in here so far has said you need to show up just like this. No one in here so far has said you need to show up like Jenny or Ryan or Wendy or anyone. You can be and honor and celebrate your gifts, who you are, your energy, your attitude, whatever level you bring that to the world. Some of you are way more patient than I am. I am letting you know that. And that is freaking awesome. You are kind and gentle and you will give someone 1,000 chances, coach them up, love them up every time. I have a different bar of patience and follow through. Neither is good, bad, right, or wrong. It is what it is. Nobody in this room, and I want to make this very clear, is asking for you to leave here and go give your own seminars to your workshop, to your team. No one's asking you to leave here and walk into your team meeting today and say, turn to someone and say, hey, you're not nuts. No one is. What I am asking you to do, some of you are like, I can't, they are. No. What I am advocating for you is that if you value this stuff, and if you're capable of bringing it to a space like this, even in a space like this, some of you are profound outgoing people. You are an individual that when you walk in a room like this, you will go up to hands, shake them, get to know who they are, you'll exchange cards, you are that person. I'm not. I would never do that. I wouldn't. Networking is not a natural state for me. My natural state is, hey, familiar face, someone I know, clamor on. I can't leave your side. That's my natural state. It is. I'm letting you know that. And I'm okay with that. No part of me sees that as a problem. But I sure as hell can sit down with every single person in here and get to know you. I can talk to you. I can ask great questions. I can be invested in your life. I can find out who you are. I can care about who you are and on my team. No one is asking you to go out here and go be energy guy or energy woman. I am asking you that if you come into a space like this because you see the value and you are good energy in a space like this, and you are invested and you are talking and you are trying to create a space of abundance because your vibe is one of contribution, how would that benefit you if you did that with your people back in your organization that quite candidly you expect the world from? I guess that would be my feedback. Energy is everything. Energy is not high fives, loud music, running around celebrating people. Energy is going the extra mile to celebrate people however that means. Right now, your litmus test, in your mind, from your gut, how much of your team is hearing feedback 100% of the time when they do something wrong, and less than 5% of the time when they do something right?
Absolutely.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. So, good energy Doesn't have to mean that we put on a freaking pep rally when someone does something right. But it does mean that we honor them, we acknowledge them, we sit down with them, we talk about what that means to us. We invest at the level that we expect the investment. And the investment is a lot more than I sign the checks. If your concept of leadership is I sign the checks, I don't know how much value I have to offer you today. If you want this to be a priority, you have to make it more than the 5 to 10% priority. If you're gonna make it more than the 5 to 10% priority, then you gotta start doing the work of connecting, understanding, investing, getting to know. Ryan, I don't have the time for that. Hire different people. Hire people that honor and respect your values. Ryan, you don't understand what the hiring process is like, you don't understand finding people. There's a lot of answers. Equity is a powerful word. Profit sharing is a powerful phrase. I know these are scary things for a business owner to think about sometimes, but you're solution-oriented people. You know there's solutions out there. But I do advocate, sit down with people, get to know them. Do you celebrate them at the same level that we call out their mistakes? Do you know their life story? Do you know their hopes and dreams, their goals, and what they want to build for themselves? Do you see their coachability and where they want to improve in their lives? Do you see what's a priority for them, right? These are things that if we don't understand them, how do we influence them, okay? So, energy, you're not nuts. Attitude matters. Your energy is everything. Invest in your people. And, here's my last thing. And then we can question blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. So, let's talk about this. Let's pretend you sat down, you did traction, or you did some crazy leadership workshop with Ryan, or you read a book about values, and you said, you know what, I'm starting to get it. If I honor these core values of my organization, right, and I think every organization should have them. My family's got core values. It does. We sat down as a family one day, and I just said, what does it mean to be a Penneau? I've got 2 kids. At the time, we only had 2 kids. 2 kids, my wife, we all had a family meeting. What does it mean to be a Penneau? I want everyone to come up with one thing. You're going to come back to it. Because what does it mean, right? What does it mean to be trusted, heating, and cooling? I apologize that I don't know other business names in here. But genuinely, we talked about hands-on health. What does it mean to be a member of hands-on health? What does it mean to be a member of the Legacy Center? These are affiliations that matter. They have to have meaning. And if that meaning is not intentional, then it just kind of goes away and it's defined by any product, any outcome, any experience that's tied to your logo. What does it mean to be a Penneau? So we sat down, we talked about it as a family, it was great. What does it mean to be one of your team members? What are the values that you live by? And a value is not just a poster on a wall. Let me say that again. A value is not a poster on the wall. Because how many of you have ever worked for someone and they say, damn it, we're going to change it. We're going to do better from now on. Attitude of gratitude is the way to go. We're going to celebrate people's failures. We're going to celebrate their wins. We're going to appreciate more. And the person saying it, you're like, oh, okay. Because they're the first that would never do it. But it's good for you to start doing it. Okay? If a value is just a poster on the wall that we talk about, but we don't live authentically, don't waste our time. Who's with me on that? So you have to look at your list of values. And you have to say, you know what? If attitude is a value, awesome. If feeding, one of my organization's values is feed the butterflies. Do the stuff that makes you uncomfortable. Do the stuff that makes you get uneasy, okay? Another one of my values in our organization is play all your cards. I don't believe in ulterior motives. I don't believe in manipulation. I don't believe in not having a full conversation when we have a moment of conflict. I don't believe in having your cards to your chest so that we're not on the same page with each other, where I have to read between the lines. Once you've determined your core value, my family, Penneaus do their best. Penneaus make mistakes. Penneau's Make Their Mistakes is the best one, right? A couple months ago, I dropped a big ball and I got an email, right? I get this email and I could go into those audible sighs. Have any of you ever had that? My wife was several rooms away and you hear the wife phrase with the wife tone that only the wife can do. What? Right? And I'm like, and I just said, nothing, I don't want to talk about it. And my daughter was at our kitchen table coloring, and without skipping a beat, she raises her hand and she goes, Penneau's make mistakes! And I'm like, yeah, they do! Yes! And I moved on. But that's how a value should be lived. That's how a value should be understood. That should be the thing that we fall back on in those moments when we go into a team meeting and say, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And instead of feeling like I'm nuts, you can sit there and say, and we're all nuts together. Let's get this done. Let's go that extra mile. Let's figure this out. Because that's what we're here to do. It's in honor of our value that we signed on for when we took on this role. Once you've determined these values, once you've made energy important, once you've talked about it and celebrated it at the level that you need to, so it's not just a side note, then it is up to each one of you to determine the lowest level that you're willing to tolerate. And that's what I want to leave you with. Because life will provide you exactly what you are willing to tolerate. How do you go into your office and say, we're going to do things differently and set a new standard? But if you've got one or two people who roll their eyes and say, but I'm not, and you say, okay, I'm letting you know that the world will crumble to the lowest common standard you are willing to accept. My wife is a COVID nurse. Oh, I love her. She's phenomenal. And I'm not just speaking about my wife to speak about my wife. She is hard worker, goes the extra mile, attitude, stays late, gets the job done, above and beyond. How many of you ever worked with a that's not my job or I don't get paid enough kind of person? She's not that person. And throughout the entire last 2 years of COVID, right? And this is not a pity conversation. This is her reality. Kicking ass, taking names, picking up more, taking on patients, going above and beyond. She's never refused a patient, even when she doesn't want a patient. Like, she gets things done. She doesn't complain. Surrounded by people who are now making, and you know the story, $6,000 a week to be travel nurses right now. Arguably, she is in a space where you would look at the world around you and say, it's not fair, this sucks, and demotivation would set it. And for the last 2 years, it has been awesome. She's been kicking butt. And just last month, she has gotten home and she says, I'm gonna stop doing X, Y, and Z. And he's like, babe, come on. She says, I'm not taking this on anymore. I go above and beyond, I take this on. She's not looking for more accolades. She's not, what it's doing though, is she's taking on things that are unnecessary. She's taking on things that she doesn't have to. She's taking on things that aren't inspected or celebrated by her team because the culture around her is one of apathy. A travel nurse, not good, bad, right, or wrong, doesn't have to care. They're there for 6 weeks. They don't have to buy into the culture. They don't have to be invested. There's no consequence to them if they say, that's not my job, that's a text job. There's literally nothing they can do. If you're in that environment, what motivates you to keep showing up every day to say, I'm gonna keep doing my best? And she's still good. She's still outstanding. But if I would argue, and she would say, yep, if she started extraordinary